That's the big question. What do they know? Could the Laundrie parents be in some legal trouble? Let's bring in Dave Ehrenberg. He is the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, and he has been following this case closely and offering his expertise for us night after night. Dave, are they in legal trouble at this point?
Well, it depends, Marnie. It depends what they know and what they knew. It's not enough that they remained silent or lawyered up or didn't call the Petito family back. All that stuff is not a crime. But if they actively try to hide evidence, destroy evidence, sanitize the van, help Brian escape, and knowing that he had committed a crime. It's also a crime if they lied to investigators. That would be the crime of obstruction of an investigation. At the state level, it's not as serious as if they lied to the FBI. As Jennifer could tell you, you don't want to lie to the FBI. That's what Martha Stewart did, and it got her 5 months in prison, but you could get up to 5 years in prison for lying to the FBI. So at this stage, we don't know whether they have committed any crime. But I can tell you this, if the body found is indeed Brian Laundrie, it will make it harder to prosecute the parents for being accessories after the fact, because with Brian dies, some of the evidence dies with him. But they could still be charged with lying if they lied at all to investigators.
And that is if, in fact, the human remains found today are Brian's. Does their silence moving forward now help or hurt them? They've been quiet up until now.
Their silence continues to incriminate them in the court of public opinion. They're not going to win any People's Choice Awards. But as far as being prosecuted for a crime, silence cannot be used against them because they have the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. And they will not be charged for staying quiet, even though morally we all believe that they should have called Gabby's parents. For example, when Gabby went missing, Brian came home without her. They didn't tell Gabby's family or anyone that she was missing. And if they continue to remain silent and carry secrets to the grave with them, that in itself would not be a crime, as long as they didn't affirmatively lie to investigators or do something like hide evidence.
What about the attorney? What obligation does he have, if any, moving forward?
Well, the attorney has attorney-client privilege, and even if his client dies, that privilege continues even after the person dies. And so the attorney doesn't have to say anything. The attorney apparently represented not just the parents, but also Brian. I think the more interesting thing is what's going to happen with Cassie. It seems like she knows maybe perhaps more than she let on. And if that's the case, maybe there could be, if this investigation continues, an immunity deal for her. But as far as the attorney himself, there's no obligation for him to say anything. He has the same Fifth Amendment right as everyone else, plus he has attorney-client confidentiality. There is an exception to that called the crime fraud exception, but that would be if he knew that someone was going to commit a crime into the future, something that's ongoing, and that wouldn't seem to cover this case.
So if Brian is in fact deceased, the attorney doesn't have to say anything because of attorney-client privilege, but if he did, could it incriminate him that he helped in Brian eluding authorities?
Well, if the attorney lies to investigators, he can be charged with the same crime as anyone else, the crime of 18 U.S.C. 1001 if he lied to the FBI. But I suspect the attorney, who's very careful with his words, probably would remain silent. But he's subject to the same laws as everyone else, although he does have attorney-client privilege, which does carry on beyond the grave if Brian's body was indeed found. But I don't envision the attorney doing much at all. I think if this investigation continues, and that would be a Jennifer question, but if it continues, I think the key witness would probably be Cassie, because she's already proven that she wants to talk. None of the others involved in this case have come forward with anything that the public needs to hear.
Yeah, there was a familial divide a couple of weeks ago with Cassie and her parents and the attorney, so we shall see. Dave, stick around. He's going to be joining us later on in the show to answer your questions, your legal questions about this ongoing case. Tweet them using the hashtag NewsNationPride. Dave, as always, thank you for your time.